Hello and welcome. You're watching The Social Network. Now, yet again, we're seeing a case of muzzling a voice of expression. In effect, Professor Amina Wadud, who joins us later on the show, was supposed to speak at Madras University. She was supposed to speak on the question of authority in Islam. At the last minute, her lecture was in fact cancelled, and the university says it was cancelled because the police said there could be potential law and order problems. So that's what we discussed today on The Social Network. Universities versus mobocracy. Madras University forced to drop Amina Wadud's lecture. In fact, she will be joining us in just a bit on the show. But one of the reasons why we're featuring her on the show today is because Amina decided to take her battle and her protest to the social media and decided to use it. She was tweeting profusely about that cancellation. There she says, and when one gives a service, one can just as easily stop giving. So that is my location. I'm no longer willing to give to India. She also tweeted several other tweets where basically she protested against the sense of the state trying to muzzle voices. She says that she's announced her intention to leave India for good as soon as I've completed some commitments in the region already scheduled. This is after several of the lectures that she'd given across the country. She's also said it is also a shame that Madras University went to so much trouble to be thwarted by factions of the ignorant. Where to intellectualism if that is so? And in fact, she cancelled all of her talks straight after that. We try to talk about that a little bit more in detail on the show today. So let's quickly now introduce our panelists for the day. Professor Amina Wadud, who is a retired professor of Islamic Studies from Virginia Commonwealth University, joins us on the phone line, and we are going to try and get her video as soon as we possibly can. Professor P.K. Abdul Rahman, who is the head of the Center for Islamic Studies of Madras University, joins us from Chennai. Professor Shamsul Islam, who teaches at the Delhi University, also joins us in the Delhi studio. And we've got Kavita Krishnan, who is General Secretary of a women's group, IPA. And we'll also be joined by Fatima Muzaffar in just a bit, who's the General Secretary of the Muslim League. She joins us on a video call. Now, if I could just first speak to Professor Amina. Professor, if you could just take all our viewers through what was the course, or what was the sequence of events, and why did you feel forced to go to social media to express your voice of protest against everything that had happened?
Well, those are two separate questions. So let me just say that I have been in touch with Professor Rahman since before I came to India. That would be back in 2012. And he had expressed an interest in having me come to spend some time at Madras University. And as I arrived in India in October, we began our communications, and we finally settled on a date and a list of activities, including public lecture and a university workshop. And I was in preparation to come to fulfill that agreement when there was a slight mechanical difficulty at the airport in Calicut that caused me to be grounded. And during the time that I was at the airport in Calicut waiting for the alternative flight, he contacted me that there had been some problem, and ultimately the problem led to the cancellation of the public lecture.
Professor Rahman, if I could just bring you in over at this stage. I know we were talking earlier and you said that you'd received some SMSs from the police, from the senior police officials saying that they would not be responsible if there was in fact a law and order problem following Professor Wadud's lecture. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is not in the SMS that he said that he wouldn't be responsible. Rather, the SMS read that, so-and-so of Professor Amina Wadud, an American lady, is scheduled to speak at the university on the 29th. But as we are anticipating law and order issue, we want you to take necessary steps to cancel or suspend the program, is what the SMS read. But then when I called back, he said, we cannot allow this because we are anticipating a law and order problem. And I said, it's an academic program where, the academics, students and researchers and civil society members interested in gender issues would be participating. where is the question of law and order there? As I said, there is anticipated threat of violence there if Professor Wadud is allowed to speak. If I said that is something that you need to deal with, law and order is something that you need to deal with, and law and order cannot be cited as a reason to ask us to suspend a legitimate academic program inside the university. Then he said, if that is the case, then you will be held responsible for any law and order issue that will be followed. I said that cannot happen. You know, I cannot be held responsible for a law and order situation because I am not the custodian of law. Rather, I am an academic doing academic work inside the university, which is my job.
You know, Professor Rahman, there was a quote in some of the media reports which quoted an organization called India Tawheed Jamaat, which had said that she comes with the backing of the US government and offers so-called progressive views that are against the basic tenets of Islam, and that is the reason why that organization had in fact had called the cops and told them that they were going to organize these protests outside the venue of the university. You know, one of the things that Professor Wadud has also tweeted about, and there was also a statement by the Citizens for Justice and Peace and Muslim for Secular Democracy, which also said, all three stakeholders of our society have made us less proud as Indians, and they've also included the university as a part of that statement. Do you feel perhaps that maybe you buckled under pressure
Rather, I would say that I had no other option but to go by the decision taken by the university administration to cancel the program. I feel a bit sad and frustrated about the fact that I could not honor my commitment to host Professor Wadud's lecture in my university. Not just me, it's my students, the academic community at large who are interested in this lecture feel completely deprived of an opportunity to listen to Professor Wadud at the University of Madras.
Okay.
So it is basically for me, it's basically for me an opportunity lost where we could have had a chance to debate the newer dimensions of gender questions within Islam with
Professor
Amina Wadud.
Professor Wadud is known to be fiercely, she has very strong views on Islam. And I just want to bring in Fatima Muzaffar over here. Fatima, several of the colleagues that I spoke to earlier today said that many of you don't agree with Professor Wadud's views on Islam, and had in fact also sent an email to the Madras University earlier saying that they were shocked that Madras University had actually allowed her space to actually come and talk.
That's true. Actually the majority of the Muslim community do not accept Mrs. Wadud's viewpoint. It's not only in India, it's all over the world. Basically we are against her theologically and it's on ideological grounds. And let me clarify here that no Muslim outfit threatened violence on the arrival of Mrs. Wadud. In fact, I was going to participate in all the 3 programs she was going to lecture in Chennai. And my home friends and all other organizations of ladies, we were wanting to talk to her personally and clarify certain viewpoints of hers.